Hi peeps, I'm Caleb Julian Ngo.
And I am Anthony Ongjoco, and together we are
Alpha Coca.
Coca. So for today, we will discuss Exercise 10, the toe digestive system. There are 4 processes the digestive system is concerned with. These are the ingestion of food, the physical and chemical digestion of food, the absorption of nutrients, and the elimination of undigested remains. In this exercise, we will delve deeper into the intricacies of the digestive system with regards to its structure and function. There are 3 objectives we wish to achieve by the end of the exercise. First, you should be able to describe the histology of the liver and the pancreas. Second, identify the organs of the digestive tract. And lastly, identify the other related organs and structures necessary in the process of digestion. The materials needed for this exercise are a compound light microscope, a cross-section slide of a liver and a pancreas, a preserved toad, a dissecting pan, and a dissecting set including forceps, pins, scissors, and a scalpel. There will be 2 parts to this exercise. First, we will be tasked to label the structures found in each illustration. Afterwards, we will proceed to the second part, wherein we will be discussing the 4 guide questions regarding the topic. So first, let's begin with the labeling of the illustrations.
For the first illustration, we are shown a cross-section of a liver. The liver's role in the digestive system is to produce and secrete bile, which primarily assists in the digestion of fat. Furthermore, the liver is also in charge of processing and detoxifying the blood containing the nutrients absorbed from the small intestine. The first structure highlighted appears as a prominent hollow tube in the middle of the lobule. This is the central vein, which returns blood mixed in the sinusoids to circulation through the hepatic veins. The second pointed structure, which constitutes for most of the liver, are called hepatic cells or hepatocytes. They are in charge of bile synthesis and have a secretory, endocrine, and metabolic functions. The second illustration in the exercise is a cross-section of the pancreas. The pancreas' role in the digestive system is to produce pancreatic enzymes which aid in digestion, and bicarbonates which neutralize the acid coming from the stomach. Aside from this, the pancreas also functions as an exocrine and endocrine gland. Consequently, 2 distinct groups of cells perform each function. The first pointed structure features the pyramidal-shaped, darker-hued cells scattered around the pancreas. These are called pancreatic acini. They are the cells in charge of executing the exocrine function of the pancreas. To the right of it, a group of pale cells arranged into cords are highlighted. These are the islated pancreatic islets or the islets of Langerhans. These cells are in charge of the endocrine function of the pancreas.
For the third illustration, we are given a photo of a frog's buccal cavity. The buccal cavity has roles in respiration and digestion. Most importantly, it is the point where food enters the digestive tract. Near the tip of the upper jaw, we see the first pointed structure, which forms a depression. This is the median subrostral fossa, which connects to the tuberculum prelingual when the mouth is closed. The second pointed structure can be seen surrounding the edges of the upper jaw. This is the upper lip fold. At the posterior half of the mouth, at the roof of the frog's mouth, we get to see the third pointed structure. These are the eyeball prominences, wherein the eyeballs rest just above them. Medial to the mouth, right beside the angles of the frog's jaw, we get to see the fourth pointed structure, which is the opening of the eustachian tube. These lead to the body of the eustachian tube, which balances the pressure in the frog's ears while swimming. Rested in the lower jaw, laid out on the floor of its mouth, we get to see the fifth pointed structure, which is the tongue. Frogs use their tongue to catch fast-moving prey and to succeedingly throw it down their throats when it snaps back. Just below the tongue, surrounding the edges of the frog's lower jaw, we get to see the sixth pointed structure, which will be the lower lip folds. Finally, the last pointed structure will be the aforementioned tuberculum prelingual, which is an elevation at the tip of the frog's lower jaw. This fits itself to the median subrostral fossa when the frog's mouth is closed. Moving on to the fourth illustration, we get to see the photo of a ventral dissection of the frog, revealing various digestive organs and accessory glands. The brown or grayish organ with 3 lobes present is the first appointed structure called the liver. As mentioned in the cross-section illustration, The liver is in charge of the production of bile and the processing and detoxifying of the blood containing the nutrients absorbed from the small intestine. The green sphere embedded in between the lobes is the second pointed structure called the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores the bile produced by the liver. Dorsal to the liver, we see a large tan-colored sac. This is the third pointed structure called the stomach, which is in charge of storing and mixing the food with digestive enzymes in order to start the process of digestion. Beside the stomach, we see long green tubes tangled with each other. This is the fourth pointed structure called the small intestine. The small intestine functions as the organ responsible for further digesting food coming from the stomach and absorbing its nutrients. In between the small intestine and the stomach, we find the last pointed structure called the pancreas, which we have discussed earlier.
For the last illustration, we can see another dissected frog revealing various structures. Nonetheless, we are asked to identify the prominent red spherical structure beside the stomach. This pointed structure is the spleen. The spleen is not part of the digestive system. It is an organ which belongs to the lymphatic system. The spleen was always thought to have no function. However, recent research shows that the spleen might have roles in fighting germs in the blood and introducing healthy bacteria to our system.
Next, we will be answering the guide questions. For the first question, we shall trace the pathway of the food through the digestive tract. The food that the frog captures first gets to the buccal cavity, then passes through the pharynx and esophagus, which leads the food into the stomach where the acids break them down. The food then passes to the duodenum of the small intestine, where it receives bile from the gallbladder and pancreatic juices from the pancreas through a common bile duct. The small intestine contains villi and microvilli on the lining of its walls, which absorb the nutrients from the food. After passing the duodenum and ileum of the small intestine, the final digestion happens in the large intestine, where the water of the food residue is then absorbed. The food that remains undigested will pass through the rectum, the cloaca, and then out the cloacal aperture to be discharged.
For the second part of the guide question, we will list down the accessory structures and glands associated with the digestive process, and we will discuss their role in digestion. The three accessory organs of the digestive system are the liver, gallbladder, and the pancreas. The liver produces bile which helps break down the food, and it also purifies the blood coming from the small intestine. The gallbladder is basically a storage organ for the bile that the frog's liver produces. And the pancreas produces the digestive enzymes that help break down starches, sugars, and fats.
For the third part, we will correlate the structural changes in each segment of the digestive tract with their functions. The frog's mouth has a wide gap for capturing prey and making sure that they don't escape. This mouth leads to the buccal cavity, which secretes mucus to aid in food lubrication down the digestive tract. The esophagus that leads to the stomach is a short canal due to the absence of a neck. And once the food is in the stomach, we can see that the lining of the organ has longitudinal folds that enable it to expand when needed to accommodate more food. After the food reaches the stomach, it will make its way to the small intestine, which is long and tubular and coiled so as to provide more time for the body to digest and absorb nutrients. After the small intestine, the food reaches the large intestine that basically stores the undigested food before heading out of the frog's body through the cloaca.
For the last guide question, we will relate the histological appearance of the livers and the pancreas with their function. As seen in the PowerPoint, liver lobules have portal triads in each of the hexagonal sides, with a central vein in the middle of the lobule. These portal triads contain a bile duct, hepatic artery branch, and a hepatic portal vein branch. The liver receives 80% of its blood through the portal vein and 20% of the blood from the hepatic artery. The blood flows through the hepatocytes and the deoxygenated blood returns to the main bloodstream through the central vein in the middle of the lobule. The bile that the hepatocytes create flow to the bile ducts to be distributed in the frog's duodenum. The hexagonal appearance of these sheets make the distribution of blood and nutrients very efficient throughout the whole organ. Meanwhile, the pancreas contains pancreatic acini for exocrine purposes and islets of Langerhans for endocrine purposes. The pancreatic acini look like clumps of grapes that secrete pancreatic juice into the common bile duct, while the islets of Langerhans produces hormones that go into the bloodstream.
And there you have it, guys. That was the toe digestive system.
Thank you for watching. Feel free to ask us any questions in the comment section below.